Hello everyone. I hope everyone is okay, and I hope life is okay with you everywhere, whatever you're doing. So today, I'm in here. I'm trying to paint this room. Prepare it for the baby. When she grows up. For now, she's sleeping with us. She's sleeping in our room. But right now, I want to prepare. I want to paint this for now. But as I thought of painting this, I remembered when I was painting a couple of weeks ago. I had some strange experiences when I was painting. It was actually before the baby was here. So I was alone at home and I was painting the bathroom. Let me try and show you something. I was stepping on this step right here, and I was painting up there, the heater and all there. I was painting around there, painted the whole place. And when I was stepping up on this thing, painting up there in the bathroom, my spirit got alert that something unusual was happening. I had this knowing that something unusual is happening. And as I was painting, stroking the brush on the wall and all that, I looked to my right down because I was stepping on this thing. Like on the top thing, it only has 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So stepping on this and looking down to my right, I saw this massive demon. It was so tall and it had a very huge head. The head was like, imagine you get 4 basketballs and you stack them in a cube form, like you add them up together, 4 of them, that's how huge the ball was, the head was. And this thing came and peeped and looked, seeing what I was doing, and I saw it. It was so interesting. Shortly after that same day, later on in the night, I was in the bathroom. Let me show you a window in the bathroom. So I was in the bathroom and I looked up that window. And I looked up that window, I saw another demon, outside. And this thing was peeping. That was strange, Again, later on, when we went to the bedroom later on to sleep, we had turned off the lights and everything, the bedside lamps and all. So the curtain was closed, but part of the window was still open, and I saw spirits peeping inside the house. Like I was seeing these things. It had been a while since I last had these vivid spiritual experiences. It had been a while, But I'm bringing this up because now I'm painting again, and it has triggered that experience. And a couple of weeks ago, still someone, my wife's family, they came over to see her after she had given birth. Actually, the day she was discharged, that's when they came. They came over here, and when they slept, my wife's sister told me that she, in the night when they were sleeping, she woke up and she saw the kids, my wife's brothers, or my brother-in-law's children. They had all come, and there was this presence above them, in bed. They were sleeping in bed, and there was this presence above them. So this presence above them, it was a shadow, but when it came around the kids, and she saw the mom, because the mom had slept in the same bed with the kids, with two girls. And then she heard the mom say, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, Jesus Christ, like that in the night. Yeah, so later on, they kind of got scared. They were like, oh, your house is haunted. Very interesting. But the thing is, these spiritual experiences, they happen anywhere. They can happen to you from any place. It doesn't really have to be a haunted place or anything. I remember in 2019, I had slept. I was back in Uganda, so I was in the northern part of Uganda. I was there for some work, and we traveled from the Sudan. The story is also long. So my brother had machinery there, He had a tractor. But in Sudan, the rebels had captured the tractor. So my brother told me, you go up there, I'll pay you. And I go up there. I pretended to go as a mechanic, an engineer. So I got the overalls. I went with tools and all that stuff. So I reached the Sudan and all that. Yeah, so they asked me, why are you here? Like, I'm the tractor mechanic, so I've come to fix it. And the plot was, I come to pretend that I'm the engineer, and then grab the tractor, we load it up and bring it back to Uganda. So we successfully did that. So around that, we had traveled from district to district. So this one district where we slept, me and this guy who was taking me. And in that district, that one night, I slept in this small guest house. It was really raggedy, It was the only thing it was the only place we could sleep. But that place was haunted. Because I remember sleeping in the night. I turned off. I locked the door, and I turned off the light, and I went to bed. So around midnight, I feel this presence in the bed, on the bed, like someone was touching on the bed. I'm alone in the room. Someone is touching on the bed, and someone was touching on the bed. I was like, no, I know these things. I've experienced this before. So before, as a child, I used to hear stuff, I used to hear things, back in boarding school, I used to hear stuff. I was the only one who had all these hauntings back in school. Like no other kid had, until right up until high school, when I got this other friend of mine who also had the same stuff. So the thing is, these things come. I'm sleeping, the room is dark, and I say, no, I know this stuff. So what I do, I turn to the wall, because the bed was on the wall, next to the wall. So I turn to the side of the wall, and I'm like, no, covered my head. That presence from touching, it now came in the bed, like someone is sleeping on the bed. I was like, now this is too much now. I get up and look, and I see a human being. Now, how this human being looked like, he looked like, those African tribes that do not wear clothes, have bald heads, have these long ears with those things. That is what I saw. And I slapped the thing like, whoosh. So when I slapped it, it turned into a vapor of smoke, like. I was like, oh. So after that, I looked around the room, man. I looked around the room and I saw smaller ones, like 5 of them. They were dancing in the room, like babies. They were small like babies and they were jumping around the room. All this was happening before my eyes. I got my phone. I'm glad I had battery, because I got my phone, I turned it on, and they all disappeared. Those things feel light. They all disappeared. I turned on the light and went to the room of the lady that checked us in. So when I go to the lady's room, I tell her, hey, I don't know what's up, because that time I was going through a lot that I wasn't right with God. I had messed up with my walk, didn't even travel around with my Bible, and was never that kind of person. It was a wake-up call for me. I traveled with my Bible, don't even care, didn't even pray. And I remember I also messed up with some lady, Yeah, I went out and had a good time with her, that was kind of messed up. So what happens is that I go to the room, and this lady's room was open. The door was open, it wasn't closed, slightly open. So I just pushed the door, and her light was on. So I just pushed it. I knocked and then I pushed the door. So I pushed the door and she came out. She jumped out of the bed. Maybe she thought I wanted to assault her or something. I told her, no, calm down. I'm not gonna do anything wrong. Here is what's happening. The room you gave me has strange stuff going on in there. Now I need to get sleep. And I tell her, I don't want to sleep with you, but I want you to come in that room, sleep in that room when I am there, and you see that these things are real. And she told me, I'm coming. I told her, how long? She told me, give me 10 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes. I waited. 5, 10, 15 minutes. She's not coming. 20 minutes, she's not coming. So I walk back. Now at this point, the rooms were cottages. Like you move from this cottage to the other. So you cross over. And at this point, it had started drizzling, in the night. So even when I was crossing, from this cottage to the other, I started seeing beings of shadows crossing over, like crossing through cottages. I was like, what's going on here? So what happens is that I go the second time and I find her door locked now, completely locked, light still on. So this cottage had wooden windows. So I looked through her window. Wooden windows on an old cottage, they usually have cracks or creaks through the wood. So I looked through the wood, and my friends, what I saw was more terrifying than anything. I saw this lady. When I entered her room, I had seen what the room looked like and what was in the room. She was alone in the room. This time when I go back, I peep through the window and I see clearly what's happening. There was a bed with a mosquito net on, and she was in bed, and there was an old lady, very, very old lady, seated on the bed. And the lady told her, she did like this. She signaled her that do not go. Blood rushed from my head to my toes, and I got goosebumps all over me. Like, whoosh. It was quite a sight. Well, I have had my experiences of demons, but I was scared that time. And the thing is, I wasn't even with God. That's the truth. I wasn't with God, man. I'd messed up. I was so angry at life then. And I was already a Christian, that's a funny thing. And even God had used me before. I had seen spirits before, like in a natural habitat, and I wasn't scared. But this time I was scared. And I'd seen spirits before in my room, like wake up to spirits in your room, and I'm not even scared. I don't even flinch. But this time around, this was different. I went back to the room. When I went back to that room, the Spirit of God revealed to me. My spirit spoke to me that you are not with God. This is why you're experiencing this fear. I think God gave me up that night. Or I experienced that. I won't blame it on God, but that night happened to wake me up. So I immediately went on my knees and I prayed. I prayed to God. I asked for forgiveness. I was like, Lord, I am so sorry. I have messed up. I confessed, and I'm telling you, I was getting derailed when I was working up there. The people I was connecting with, a lot of stuff. Let me tell you, the company you keep. So from that moment on, I was like, it's a wake-up call. But that same night, I go back to the room, pray, and I go back to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see creepy stuff like decapitated heads on spears, weird stuff I was seeing. And what happens is that I go back to the room and just leave the lights on. And the whole time I tried to sleep, I couldn't. Because I knew that those things feared the light. So not that really I was afraid, but I was afraid. But I knew that when the lights were on, they wouldn't return. And what happens is that it all happens till morning. From around 1 or 2, around there, I didn't sleep until morning. So morning comes, and this guy comes in the morning. He had a girlfriend in that town, so he had slept at her place. So he comes here to my room, and I tell him, he asks me, "Oh man, how was your night?" I tell him, "Hey, I didn't have a good night. We need to leave this place ASAP." And he tells me, what? Stop acting funny. And prior to this, the dinner we had, or the supper we had, the food we ate some meat that I couldn't really, I couldn't say that it was goat's meat or beef. It wasn't chicken, it wasn't beef, it wasn't goat's meat. And it wasn't any, because I have eaten a lot of meat. It wasn't anything I've ever eaten. It was strange. I think it was human flesh. I think that's what we ate. So what happens is that we go, and I tell this guy, "Do you remember the food we ate yesterday, the meat we ate?" He was telling me goat's meat. I was like, "That's not goat's meat." He was telling me there's lots of goats in these parts, so people here eat a lot of goat's meat. And the lady would also, I think, said, goat's meat. I was like, boy, these people don't know what's going on. So I told this guy about what happened in the night. Things came in here, they were haunting me, they were doing this and that. So the girlfriend first looks down and walks out. Then she comes back and she finds that my story is consistent. And she says, "Here guys, here's the deal. This place is haunted. There's a lot of witchcraft in this place. There's this and this and that. This is what's happening here." So she confirmed that everything that happened is real. So she later told us her story and all that. I told this guy, "I'm packing my bags right now and I'm gone." I packed my stuff and got out. So go back to some other town, the main town, or another district. In that district, met some church people here, and I was telling them about that place, and they were like, "Oh, that place is haunted. Everyone in this these parts knows it, and mostly these hauntings work when they get more intense when they see Christians around. But I remember my spirit told me that you experienced a fear because you weren't walking right with God, I mean, if you were, and they were banking on that, your walk with Christ. So it got me to think, man, we need to be serious with our walk with Christ, So had a couple of more experiences, with these spirits, but I wanted to share this one because the painting today has triggered it. So I think I'll get to the painting. God bless you.